So please welcome Jamie Dalton to the show. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you so much for having me, Ashley.
Oh, you're so welcome, all the way from Sedona, Arizona. And I met you in person, gosh, over a month ago when I had a bunch of my podcast friends and sisters join. We went to Bashar and we walked into your store, and everyone, you go into Sedona and you see like all these stores that says aura readings and all, you know,
Right,
psychic readings, everything, right? So we
right.
start to come into your store, and one of the girls says, "Okay, let's all go." So you took four of us in the room and
Right.
to do our auras, and it was amazing. So
Thank
wanting for you to wanting to share your magic with my listeners is something. When I was sitting there thinking, if everyone understood, I've interviewed people about auras before. In fact, my dear
you.
friend Dominic from the UK passed away a few months ago, and he could see auras. He really only could see auras. He didn't see
Oh,
it with that machine.
right.
So I was thinking about him when I was preparing for you. But will you, because I think your background is so fascinating. You have such a neat personality and you're so intuitive, and how you read everybody's auras by just looking at their picture. I have mine right here and I was reading it
Oh,
um, from reading your notes on my
yeah.
card and remembering when I videotaped, or we did the video recording of our voices so I could hear it again. And it's just, you have such a gift, and I wanted to share your gift. But I know there's magic from how you got to this place. Can you kind of share a little bit of where you're coming from and what got you to this place?
Right. Right. So I kind of stumbled into it. I was actually a special education school teacher. My degree, my bachelor was in special and elementary ed out of college. And I focused on special needs children. I just always felt a pull to that particular sector of students. And I noticed when I was teaching that I was able to pick up on things above and beyond what I was seeing in their testing, right? So we'd do their Myers-Briggs and we'd have their diagnoses of the type of learning disability, et cetera. And I would sense, though, I'd have a student in my class that first week, and I would sense this huge emotional neglect in that child. And, they would be presenting with a stuttering or some kind of speech impediment. And I would treat the emotional. I would enlist them in helping me do things in the classroom and really building up their self-esteem and paying lots of attention to them. And oftentimes, before I even got around to treating the actual learning disability, it was gone. By
Wow.
treating the root, I was feeling the root of the cause, the emotional, spiritual root in that child. And so I noticed that went on and on. And so I stopped even looking at test scores, until I got to know the students the first couple of weeks of school. And so, I still applied what I needed to as far as my training, but my intuition seemed to always be there now that I think back from when I was a child. And I believe that a lot of us have this heightened intuition. And so, kind of by accident, my mom was the real metaphysical person. And she was opening a center in Sedona because there's really, back in the late 80s, early 90s, there wasn't really a lot of places where if you were an intuitive reader or some kind of holistic healer that you could do your work and support yourself. So
Hmm.
she had had a vision of opening this big New Age healing center. And I just came here one summer to help her manage the store and buy the jewelry and things. And a woman came in with this camera. I was a little bit skeptical. I thought, what is this? There's probably just some color film in the camera, they're distorting something. And she took my picture and read me like a book.
Hmm.
She read things about me that were quite personal that she had no way of knowing. But when she read it and she related it to my energy field and how my energy reacts to the world and how being an empath had affected my, emotional way, my response in my life, it was quite fascinating. And I watched her read other people with some of the same accuracy. So I became a little obsessed and I started looking into the research behind it. The camera that I used was developed by Soviet scientists in the 60s. It's
Oh, wow.
early in photography. And so the scientists developed this. They used to use it on plant leaves. they would use biofeedback and photo imaging to show that there was energy. They would tear a piece of the plant leaf off, and they would still see the energy trying to go to that piece of the plant leaf to heal.
Oh,
So that was really where it originated. And then through the years, the inventor of the camera that I use the old school analog Kirlian photography. He took that Kirlian technology and developed a way to use it on the human body. So what we have now is a way that we can use biofeedback, where we pick up energy that comes through the meridians of your hands. We all emit energy, right? The hands are the conduit. So this is the strongest place to measure it. So this camera, we can pick up energy coming through your hands. And then there's an algorithm in the camera that will correlate that energy with different color frequencies. So what we're basically getting is we're getting your spiritual enneagram or your energetic blueprint. We're seeing it in colors because different frequencies of colors have different meanings. So for me, I tried just giving the printout to people of their colors, and it just was not accurate for me because I would pick up on so much more information in talking to them.
mm-hmm.
And the shade of the red, where is the red? Is there red that they're an entrepreneur, or is there deeper red that they're a shaman with healing ability? So for me, I just started doing it, and it took off like wildfire to where I write my own books about it now. But Edgar Casey even wrote a book on an essay on auras way back in the day.
Hmm.
So it's just fascinating. If any of your listeners have, looked into Nikola Tesla and some of the great inventors of our time working with energy, it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
And I believe it at 100%. And for people to see their blueprint and what they're here to do in this life, because if you're using your strongest energy for your life's work and for how you choose relationships and navigate your life, it's an amazing compass to see your aura. It's
Right.
different.
Will you explain? Because I was in that room with four different, four of people, and
Mhm.
you were dead on with
Yeah.
each of us, and that was, I think, for that experience. And I know a lot of times you go in there by yourself, so you don't get to see the contrast. Like, wow, she really picked up on her. Those colors are all
Right.
about her. And so, will you explain? So, to me, is that my colors are going to be that way for during this time of my life, and then they shift?
Correct.
Okay.
So mood changes. If I'm a little tired today, I'm still a creative visionary. I'm still intuitive. So minor mood fluctuations, they're not going to change your whole energy field. Oftentimes there's a common misnomer that auras are your mood, and it's not the case. Major shifts in life will move your energy around. So for example, during COVID, we closed our center here for a few weeks. I was homeschooling my 4 children. I was buying a house. I was finishing a book. So I was very much in my left brain faculties. And so my aura, after 4 to 6 weeks, takes about a month or two, started to go gold. Rightly so, because gold is my left brain being very activated, right? My detail oriented mind. As I got back into working here after, COVID started to alleviate, I went back to my blues and whites, blue being the teacher, the speaker. People can also consciously shift their energy. So we use this camera, for example, on the History Channel for Ancient Aliens, because we're able to capture spirit guides as well, not just your energy, but the energy of your guides. So if you see some guide energy, which shows up as white orbs in your photo, and I send people home to start meditating and tapping into it, most of my clients are regulars. They come back for their checkup. And I just had a woman this morning that her aura went from just all of this mental activity from her corporate job to very white and blue. She's now doing coaching, spiritual coaching. She's starting to become a meditation coach, and she's really worked on pulling those energies forward and developing them. So you can consciously shift your energy as well. When the people are sitting across from me, I'm reading the colors, but I'm also intuitively picking up on what those colors mean for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important for anyone that has an aura reading to have somebody that's going to read it for you, an intuitive that's going to read it for you, because all blues are not the same. All reds are not the same. So for me, I do a lot of corporate events where I have hundreds of people standing around me, and I'm able to zero in on, because they're all listening, that one unique thing about each person.
Right.
So, and then for me, I do a lot of meditation. I do things to keep my intuition strong.
Right. So the thing about when you first started mine, and you said there was a dark, empty, like a darkness that you had a loss, and I kept thinking a loss, like no one has passed away recently, and I'm trying to go a loss, a loss. Yes, there's a loss. And so at the end, which is like 10 minutes, you
Mhm.
said, is it like an empty nest? And my daughter had just went to college like that week, and
Right.
everyone else in the room knew that. But I wasn't putting that together, and you said, "Yes, it was." So that's what you say, you can see it in your current, energy field.
So I can see the loss. And so when I start to talk to you, I'll see the loss in the energy and I'll know there's a loss. And then as I'm talking to you more, I'm feeling your energy. I'm the word is clairsentient. I'm sensing what's going on beyond the loss. And so I think it came to me as I was reading your energy more that, aha, it's not a death loss. It's not a divorce loss. This is like moving out. I think I actually saw this kind of you sitting alone. So that's when it came to me, empty nest.
Mhm.
So that's why we don't just want to, say to someone, oh, you've had a loss and leave it at that. If I can intuitively, sit and talk to you for longer, I'm usually going to pick up on what that loss is.
Right.
We look at Tyler Henry right on TV, and he's sketching. He's getting bits of information, and then it becomes more cohesive as he sits across from your energy longer. And it's kind of the same thing for me.
What if, when you say you do the alien show, and I know you've done the Bachelorette, but when you go, what, like if an alien came and put their aura, like their hands, what would that be like?
That I don't know. I'm sure I've had some in here, but when I did Ancient Aliens, um, it's not just a show about aliens. I had never watched it when I did it, but of course I've watched it now. But what the it's a very popular show. The show I was hired to do was called Crystal Skulls, and they wanted to see if crystal skulls, not just any crystal skull, but these. I don't know if you've heard of these skulls from ancient times. That the way
Yes.
they carved when they found them, there's no way. It's like the pyramids that they had the tools to do that. So, anyways, they had one of the ancient skulls, Einstein, the largest of all the skulls, and they wanted to see if I could pick up energy around this inanimate object, right? And it had a whole energy field. The interesting thing is, I pulled crystals out of my store as well, crystal skulls that we sell. And of course, crystals have energy, but usually not enough to generate a whole energy field around it in the picture.
Okay.
So I wasn't picking up much. So I kind of wasn't very hopeful. But when they came with Einstein, I got chills when they walked in the room. I could feel energy. And then when we photographed it, if you watch the show, it has an entire aura to include 3 spirit guides, like a perfect triangle, one at the crown and then 2 on the side, protecting this skull. And then the skull was very deep, deep blue, which is old soul keeper of knowledge. And that's what the souls are said to be. So we actually could see that in the photo reflected. So it was pretty amazing. And then shows like The Bachelorette and those fun shows that we do, it's because we can tell between 2 people who has good energy polarity.
Mm.
Sometimes we pick a partner that something about them is familiar. You've always heard people saying, oh, I kept marrying my dad, or I was attracted just to addicts. Well, it's because it's familiar in our patterning. The energy is familiar. And so with the auras, what we can do is see who actually has a good yin and yang, who has a good polarity and balance for your energy. So that's why on those shows it's kind of fun, because I usually tell them to go with their opposite as far as energy field.
Huh. So
Yeah.
you use the machine, because I
You
feel
use
like you don't even need the machine
the
by
ability.
your
I
gift.
really don't so much anymore, but it's so much more fun to show the people. Like
Mhm.
this woman this morning came in with 3 prior photos, and she has progressed wonderfully. She was in a darker space when she first started doing this, and the joy on her face to see it, because we don't always feel the change in us, but for her to see
Right.
it and have it be acknowledged and specific things actualized that I can affirm for her is just the most amazing thing. And
Right.
then she leaves with this confirmation, and it really inspires, most of my clients to keep doing the work. We're all here to grow and ascend. We
Right.
didn't just come to float on through life. So it's so affirming. That's why I love the visual part of the picture.
Yeah, for sure. I get it. So you give these clients, like if I was going to come back to you, you give us like meditation and, telling them what to do. where to focus, what to do to shift their aura?
Correct. So, well, I won't pick on you entirely, but your aura has a lot of green. Green is the color of self-healing and transformation and growth. But green is a color that doesn't stay as a regular color in the aura. It comes in when we're healing and cleansing old energy, when our frequency is rising, we're becoming more spiritual, we're aligning more with our life path. So green, in other words, is like a shedding of our old skin and a healing of our wounds. And then where we land is what I'm more curious to see. So typically, if somebody has a very green aura, I tell them one thing: time is going to shift this because you're already moving in these new directions. So after time, it will reflect. But as they heal and also get used to the emptiness or the newly being single, if it was a divorce, I tell them, come back and let's see where you stabilize. If it's somebody who's in a lot of pain and stuck with their healing, I then send them out with specific meditations and different things that they can do to release pain, release trauma, sit with themselves and open their chakras so they can access their feelings to even heal them. Some people, we avoid the pain and we shove our feelings down, and we really can get stuck in a grief state because we never fully heal. So I'm always giving someone, when they leave here, either a way to become more intuitive, either a way to heal, what I think they should work on. Some people come in and it's apparent that they're in the entirely wrong career for themselves. So I give them specific ideas based on their energy, what they should be doing. And I can't tell you how many emails I get saying, oh my gosh, it changed my life because I knew that was the wrong thing. You said I had this other gift. I tapped into it, and this is what I do. So this is what I do now. So usually, yeah, there's something that I send you out, to kind of work on if you choose.
Have you ever seen an aura that just like, whoa, this is not right?
Yes. So Dateline wanted me to do a show on this particular incidents that happened. This was years ago in my career. I can't know, it's been so long now. There was a gentleman that was doing a retreat here, a big retreat, which a lot of people do in Sedona. And he was very renowned, like a Tony Robbins type, and gaining in popularity. And he had about 20 people on his spiritual retreat here in town. He was a friend of mine because I had photographed his clients throughout the years. A lot of retreat people like me to retreat hosts, like me to come out and take their clients before and after, because you can see the profound change after the week of working on the heart chakra or whatever it was. So it's very affirming. But this particular client said, hey, can you come out and do a retreat? And then he said, you know what, I'll just send my people in. I'll send them in with my publicist, and like 6 ladies are going to come in and get their picture. Everyone else is out hiking. So they came in and I'm doing all their auras. And the one lady's aura that I took was very close around the body, and it was very gray and white. Now, I'm never at a loss for words, as you can tell, but I did not know how to read her aura. I froze. I said, I'm not picking up anything. So I read the other 2 that were here. And then I said, I just feel like you're not grounded in your body. Your spirit's like sitting outside your physical body. So have you guys been fasting? And she said, well, yeah, we were fasting and hiking, for the last 2 days. I said, okay, you need to ground. You need to go eat like a steak. You need to nourish your body and ground yourself. And it was the story's been on TV and everything. She wound up passing away. 2 days later, I got a call from that publicist that was here with them, just hysterical. And she said, Kirby Brown, the woman that you could not read her aura, that you said she wasn't in her body, she died yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
Apparently they were in a sweat lodge experience, and it was becoming too intense for many of them, but they felt the facilitator, was saying, stay in and fight through it. And so they stayed. And unfortunately, there was some harm done, and she wound up passing away. Now, this begs the question, does your spirit know? Because that was an accident. That was a random. She wasn't sick. Does your spirit know before it's going to leave? Because I literally felt like her spirit was not in her physical body. And so it was still too fresh for me. So I declined the Dateline show. But I know that since then they did do a show on it. And, the facilitator, James Ray, is still a good friend of mine. He did go to prison. And he's been to see me since then. And he's written another book, The Art of Redemption, because he realizes, how you can get, I don't want to speak for him, but sometimes, you can't push people through what their natural, boundaries are for themselves. So after that, I was afraid really to take a picture that I would see this gray, picture. But I really never saw another one like that. A friend of mine, her daughter was sick, and the last photo we took of her before she passed was almost all white. Now everybody
Wow.
wants to see white because it's spirit guides, but this was like all white. And I remember I focused really more on how many angels were around her and watching her. But when I spoke to her mom later, I said, it seems too like her spirits are all around her, because if it is her time to go, they're going to be here taking her with them. So that was very comforting for the mom. But that's only been, I'd say 2 to 3 times that things like that have happened in the aura room.
Can you ever tell if someone is sick or if they come, like, let's say they
Yeah.
had cancer, you can see, does that come through?
Yeah, so I'm not a medical intuitive, so I won't say that to the person. What I'll say is, because I don't know for sure, what I said to one client is, there's really no energy around your throat. And I don't get that you have a blocked throat chakra as far as speaking. I feel like you need to get your, this area checked out. The energy isn't flowing. And she did, and her thyroid was not working, and she got all that corrected. But another client of mine, regular, she was going through breast cancer, and I didn't diagnose it. She came in and said, I had breast cancer. And when we took her picture, the dark energy was through this whole area. And I said, okay, here's where the energy is disrupted. Anyway, she went on to do chemo and radiation. And as she progressed through the healing, there were times where this was just all bright green because it was healing. Then it would go red, which was life force trying to restore, after the chemo. And then she's alive and happy today. Her and her husband are 2 of my favorite clients. But as she got better, we started to see the energy go back to the normal blue and white that she always was.
Huh.
And
Oh,
purple. She's very creative. So that was amazing to see. And they still come and see me to this day. And she still has her blue, pink, she's holding in her remission, in her aura.
wow.
I'll say, go get this looked at, or something's a little low here. But I won't assign a name to it because, 1, I don't know for certain, but 2, because people can then give energy to creating something wrong there.
Exactly.
So that's why that's not my responsibility nor my right. So I will just say, your energy's a little low. How have you been feeling? And then if they say, not great, I say, I'll just go get a checkup. Let's just make sure.
Right. What about food or things, water and all that? Can that help? Is that something that you can see in an aura?
You mean,
Like clean food, clean, like eating
yeah,
clean and or
yes,
drinking alcohol, drugs.
yeah. So I am in recovery, and I had a relapse. I've been doing auras for about 26 years. I had a relapse in my alcoholism about 4 years into my career. It was brief. It was 3 months. But during that time, my energy field, which is blue and white, went very muddy red.
Oh,
And
wow.
I see that people that maybe, how do I want to say this? I've seen a few things. So I've seen if people are chronic users. I got sober again and got back to my state. And it was a good year, though, before my blue and white returned to its full brilliance. But when I now sponsor women, since I've been in recovery for so many years, and my new sponsees will typically be very red and gold, which is struggle survival mode. The heart will be dark because they're cut off from themselves and their higher power. And so as they get into recovery, usually around they're starting to get their 90 days and their 6 months, we will see sometimes this beautiful blue or this beautiful purple emerge in their aura, because the red and gold for them was just situational. Other times they'll have people that are red and gold because that's who they are, corporate, entrepreneur. So this is where it gets to, I have to differentiate. Is it a dark, muddy red gold with holes in it? That's totally different than a bright golden red judge or corporate attorney. So I can tell if the aura is due to addiction or illness. It will look different, more dingy than the average aura. The other time I've seen where the aura literally, I don't know if you can see me, but stops here. And then there's like a break of no energy. And then there's color at the very top. Sometimes if you're on a lot of anti-psych meds, we can literally see a disassociation of the energy. So that's a little odd. And I certainly don't tell them not to take their meds, but we'll literally see like this disassociation with the rest of their energy.
Wow.
So those are some of the things I've seen as far as how that affects it.
Going back to the woman that died the 2 days later and how it was gray and you didn't know how to read that. So since then, do you see how a soul is like the energy of our souls in our body through you can see the aura. Um, when we pass away, when a baby's aura comes, like when does that? Do you know that?
When there's a baby trying to incarnate,
So yeah, so when does the aura like when our soul comes into the actual human body as a baby, and then as far as it leaving in death and leaving the human body, is like what have you discovered from
I
that experience?
right. So with my so to back up even right before that is if a woman is pregnant, a pink orb will be sitting on top of her aura. The soul will
Oh wow.
incarnate. In fact, that's how I went and bought my pregnancy test when I got pregnant with my first child.
Oh wow.
30, I was my first child. And I saw this pink orb in my photo, and I had been reading that as pregnancy for women. So I work with my mom. We have a family business, and I ran out and I said, "Oh my God, I think I'm pregnant." Ran to Walgreens, got the test, and lo and behold. So pink orbs, the soul before it even incarnates, will dance around the mother's aura. The other thing, though, is the baby seems to take on an energy right away. So as soon as it incarnates and is born, and so it starts to take on an energy in relation to the world. A lot of babies will come in with a very fuchsia pink and a lot of white because they're still corded to source, you see, spiritually. They're still connected. So they haven't been indoctrinated yet, but it's a very bright pink is unconditional love, and then white is the highest spiritual vibration, transcendent energy. Babies will incarnate with spirit guides already around them that are going to travel and walk through this life with them. So yes, almost immediately upon birth, I will see an auric field around a baby. I've had mothers bring brand new babies in here. While the woman is pregnant, we can usually see the energy of the soul after 20, 22 weeks, usually in women. That's when the soul starts to become viable enough that we can actually see it's already creating its own energy before it's even born.
Wow. And
So
then
I have twins, and one was red and one was blue as far as energy. And that was from right as soon as I had them. I gathered they were having that energy already in the womb because my red's very physical, emotional, was definitely that in the womb. Somersault,
hmm,
kicking, everything. The other child was more quiet, more sensitive. When they were born, they had a harder time taking the first breath. So it's ironic, but they literally, as I got into auras later, that's exactly, their energy as we take their pictures now.
wow.
They already came out with that kind of temperament or energy.
Right. And then death, explain that, how you see it.
Yeah, so that's a harder one. So I see death as our spirit leaves the physical body. If you've read Journey or Souls or any of these types of books, as I have, what resonates with me the most is that our soul releases from the body. And the people I've talked to that have had near-death experiences, because I've met so many people in the last 25, 26 years in this room with amazing stories from all over the world. And they say that they felt their soul rise out and they could see the physical body. So in the aura, I've had people come in that have said to me, "I just want to go home now. Is it my time to go?"
Hmm.
And so I can't give them an answer by looking at their energy. But what I can sometimes see, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, is I'll see a lot of their spirit guides coming around them very strongly, dozens of, white orbs in the aura. And that usually means, although I don't think it's their choice that I want to leave today, planet Earth, but I feel like when somebody is sick and ready to leave, that more guides come around them, maybe to assist the soul, is my theory, when it exit the physical form.
Right.
I believe we
Wow.
don't exit alone. I believe people come and get us. We lost our store manager last year, and she, towards her last few days, we were at her home with her, and she said she saw all these white lights out in the trees outside of her home, and they were coming to, take them with her. So I believe that's the case. Other souls will come down, and then our soul, our energy, our aura, our essence will leave with them.
And when we do come back and reincarnate, is our energy is that part of is it going to be renewed? How does that look? Do we keep our same soul essence even out of the body?
I believe that we keep our same soul essence in that if we didn't learn the lessons we came to learn, I believe we will keep an essence of those same challenges with which to play out and then perhaps learn from this time. I believe that older souls over time, when they come back in, they have more deja vu, they have deeper blue auras because they've been here so many times. But I do believe if there are lessons unlearned or a journey unfinished, that we will come back in that similar energy in order to complete that.
Right. You
Yeah.
know, when we were in Sedona, I remember sitting there with you, and my body, I've never felt
Mm,
so tired. I was the next day, I was the second day of Bashar, I was going to throw up. I went and did a reading upstairs in your store, and I thought, oh my gosh, if I have to throw up, like, and I'm not
right,
like that. But
right.
what is that?
That's strong energy. So there's so many, I believe, there's something to the vortex sites. I do write the vortex books, and I believe that there's a heightened energy here. In fact, the Native Americans, years ago would not settle here because the energy was so strong. The energy of Sedona is a catalyst. All these power points, these vortices on the earth in such a concentrated area. Now, mind you, there's other places in the world that have vortex sites, but there's so many here in a concentrated area. Combine that with the crystals, all the crystals here, the iron ore and all the red rocks, a lot of people that are empathic and able to sense energy more strongly, like myself, than the average person, that's how they feel. It was just so much energy, not in a bad way, but when so much comes in at once, because you're such an empath, it can be hard to ground and center it. And so the resulting feeling will be the nausea, the unsettled. Some people won't be able to sleep while they're here. So I tell people, stay out of the crystal room. We have this crystal room in the store that's just all crystals, wall to wall. And I say, don't go down that hall if you're already feeling nauseous. But the energy is intense. A lot of people move here and think I'm going to move to Sedona. It's so spiritual. And I'm going to heal myself. And they almost go crazy because it literally, it's a catalyst. It brings everything to the surface rapidly. That some people find that they move here for a while and then they have to kind of move away to slow everything down.
Right.
Fast moving absorption of energy will create that nausea, that anxiety, that not being able to sleep. That's why it's powerful here. So I actually live in Clarkdale, which is right outside of Sedona.
Oh, okay.
And I'll drive into work gladly because the energy right in the core here is just very intense. For the average visitor, it's great. And a lot of people live here, no problem. But for me, I just felt it was too intense for me on a daily basis.
Right. Well, there was 8 girls in our house, and it was the common thing. One of them couldn't get up the next day. She was throwing up, couldn't get out of bed. The next day, someone's throwing up in the shower. I mean, it was just like, what is going on?
So it is cleansing you.
Right.
It's all old stuck energy releasing, but it's not fun at the time. But you guys were having a rapid cleanse. And what that tells me, since everybody doesn't have that experience, is that you guys were ready and open to, you had a belief that there was a healing power here. And so you were open to it. And that's why it flooded in so quickly.
Huh.
But probably on your next visit, it wouldn't be as intense.
Interesting. Yeah, because I had never experienced that. It took me, I mean, we drove from San Diego. So, it's like, I can't wait to see when we get into California, my body
Right.
feels different. But it took me a couple days to where
Yeah.
I would notice, like, oh gosh, I am back to my, normal feeling. But I do my automatic writing, and it kept coming through is your DNA was upgraded. It was like an upgrade. It kept coming up, upgrade,
What is
upgrade.
frequency? You leveled
What?
up in frequency. So when you come here, it starts expunging any old stuck lower vibrational energy. And when you come to Sedona, what you have is your frequency is rising very rapidly. So yes, the shift in DNA, you're letting go of the old. It's like you're molting. And so when your frequency is rising so quickly like that, everything within you shifting so quickly, the nausea, the moving of that energy is what your physical body's responding to. So that's exactly it. I have this great book that I recommend to people called Frequency by Penny Pierce. And it's all about frequency, your personal vibration,
Hmm.
and how to reprogram and raise that. So that's exactly on on point with that shifting of the DNA and all of that stuff. But the goal is to get into our light bodies while we're here on this planet. We didn't just come to do what our parents did, go to the same church, eat the same, food. So now we're realizing about our nutrition and live foods, right? And exit the planet. We want those shifts. And that's why people come to Sedona. It is known as a spiritual catalyst. I mean, I liked to drink when I moved here back in the 80s. Before you know it, I had this full-blown addiction. But guess what? I also healed it pretty quickly in the span of a few years, whereas I might have spent my entire life working on that somewhere else. So it's not for the faint of heart or the light stomach here, but it's definitely raises your frequency, and in your case, very rapidly.
Before we hit record, I was asking how it was, and you said it's so busy. This has been so busy, and people need it right now. Explain to me what that means to you.
I think that people are waking up more. I think COVID was just a big catalyst of that, because people are now seeing more knowledge has come to light. COVID was a catalyst because people got the vaccination, people didn't get the vaccination, people still got sick. And then we started becoming more aware of what's in our foods now. If you can't go on Instagram without finding, that everything I thought was healthy pretty much isn't.
Right.
Big pharma, more information started to be revealed about big pharma and how they push the drugs and the theory of they want us to be sick because that's how they make their money. And I remember I had a college course years ago, and the instructor just wrote on the board and he said, big business. And then he left the classroom. And then he came back in 10 minutes and said, this is what runs the whole world. And he left again. He was a very strange man, but who knew that that was going to be a thing? So people are becoming more aware. More information is out there on social media. People are not just listening to the government, especially the CDC, after all of what went on. And so people are now on their own quest for their own health and wellness. And so everybody wants meditation. Everybody wants to go on spiritual retreats. The average person doesn't want to just go waste their vacation getting drunk with a coconut. We got a scare. And we also got this, we're starting to see holistic healing. They were taking Reiki masters into assisted living centers, and elderly people that were sick were actually like standing up and feeling better with the Reiki versus any of the traditional methods. And so I'm not insinuating that people should throw out their traditional medicine or their radiation if they need it for their cancer treatment. But what I'm saying is, what are you eating? Are you meditating? The world is crazy right now and chaotic. And if you think we're all not feeling that planetary density just by being on the planet, you're crazy, because we're all feeling it. And so people are meditating, they're grounding. People don't want to put the toxic foods in anymore. And so people are flooding to Sedona for psychic readings, for practitioners, craniosacral therapists, because now it's something that people don't think is weird. They see the value and the results in it.
Right.
So it's such a mainstream thing now.
It is. And sometimes were you going to say something?
No.
When I hear you, because I'm just there, like the food, and you have children too. And I say, did you read the ingredients? Like, so now they're becoming so much more aware. Mom, I can't eat that. I said, no, you can't.
My 10-year-old, she just turned 10. There's a Yuka app that I have on my phone, YUKA, that you can scan any stuff in the grocery store, because my almond milk that I've been drinking forever turns out is just full of sugar, and so she is so funny. Every time we go shopping, she's got the app out. We can't have that. Oh, Mom, this is excellent. This one got an excellent. And so very much on the ball about this now. And I think it's brilliant. I think that our disease and everything that's going on now, I think we can curtail it if we make the changes now. I kind of joke that I'm older. I'm in my 50s, so it's kind of too late for me. But it's never too late.
No.
There's plant medicine that heals your body, so it's never too late to start on that. And she's a little advocate. She cracks me up. And so, we got to get back to taking charge of our own health. We just do. Children are entering puberty now at 9 and 10 years old.
Right.
This is the story with my own child. And it's like, what? It's in the foods, it's the hormones, it's everything. And the labeling is not, it's made to, fool the consumer.
Right.
Things say healthy, low fat, but it's full of chemicals.
Right.
So the aura, seeing your energy, keeping your energy field high, keeping your frequency high, your health is so related to that. So that's why this is all tied together.
How did you parent your kids? I know we're at the end here, but tell
I
me how
was
you
a
parent.
little bit of a free spirit. And so I did not get vaccinations on my children, but that was after extensive reading. I was a special ed teacher too, so I did see a high correlation evidenced in my own students. And so I vaccinated one child because they were sick more often, but I had spaced it out very far. So they weren't getting, 5 at once. And then my other children, I did not vaccinate. I breastfed for as long as I could, within reason. My first son breastfed for 2.5 years.
Hmm.
My twins, it was a little harder. We made it to almost a year. So I made sure they got, off to a good start. And then I didn't just run for the antibiotic and everything whenever they were sick, because each time you put an antibiotic, cycle in the body knows to repair itself. So if
Right.
my daughter, for example, would get a fever, or my son's, I would let that fever go up, not too high, but enough so that it could fight the disease, so that the body knew how to do that. And then as far as raising outside of health, I'm more about promoting the free spirit. I was able to do that because the dad was a little more strict. So I could be the nurturer, the inspirational, rewarding with positive feedback, not always negative. And I know there's a lot of, um, talk around everybody gets a trophy. I didn't overboard it that way, but I definitely gave my kids parameters to have choices and pick and choose what they want. I didn't say we're going to this church because that's where your grandmother went. I didn't push any of that on them.
Right. Yeah, I love that.
So I have more kind of artsy, creative, entrepreneurial children right now in their early 20s, and those are the kind of jobs that they're pursuing.
Huh. And did they go to college?
No, I even offered to pay, but no. My son right now is going to school to be an electrician. Ethan, he's 20. My other 20-year-old daughter, Emerson, is very creative and intuitive. So she works here at the center, and I'm training her for my business, although I don't think she has the confidence yet. But that will grow. She's only 20. And then my youngest child is in advanced classes at her little school in Clarkdale. She's quite brilliant. She's good with math and science and all of those things. And then my oldest child, Braden, he's a very red child. He's very independent, entrepreneurial. So he has a rental property, which we're just getting ready to rent out. We've been doing all the repairs. And then his goal is to acquire a second rental property and kind of be a property management entrepreneur. And
Huh, neat.
jujitsu. His real passion is just doing jujitsu.
Oh gosh,
So,
neat.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. Oh, Jamie, it's been so fun. Let's talk about your book, how to find you, and all those
Oh, yeah.
things.
So I'm so funny because I don't really go out of my way promoting. Um, for example, Auras by Jamie does not have its own website. Auras by Jamie has a page on Facebook and Instagram. I joke that I'm too old for TikTok, but I guess I could get out there soon. The Center for the New Age, psychics at Sedona.net is the website for the Center for the New Age, which I own. So that's my main website. I write Vortex books, but this is my most favorite book that was just released last year. It's Heal Your Aura, Change Your Life. And it's, in fact, an entire workbook. I only have one hand, but it's a workbook on literally how to heal your trauma. You can put all the good foods into your body and you can think all the positive thoughts, but if you have old stuck trauma that was stored on a cellular level in your body and you're not releasing that stuff, that's still going to hinder your spiritual growth. So this is how to heal your old wounds, how to release old anger, resentment, specific chakra opening exercises, meditation, information about healing, and how to tell when it's your guides coming through versus your intellect. So how to become more intuitive. So it's a whole workbook. I do talk about positive thinking and gratitude because you hear a lot of people talk about that, but that's a real big deal. You have to be aware of how you're speaking to yourself and what you're putting out there as far as your expectations in the world to manifest. So
Right.
my book is Heal Your Aura, Change Your Life. You have to get it through the Center for the New Age. I sell it mostly here. My second edition is on Amazon, same title, but the latest edition is here at the Center for the New Age in Sedona. And you can either log on to our website, which was psychics at Sedona.net, or just call the Center for the New Age in Sedona, and our concierges will ship you a book out. They're
Oh, perfect.
$20, I believe, $20.95. And 928-282-7220, or you can just Google Center for the New Age in Sedona. I also have a little video about auras on there if you had anybody that wanted to hear a little more about the technology behind how we get the picture.
Oh, Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Jamie, see how fast it goes.
See, and I am on Instagram, Auras by Jamie. So people should look at that. It's really fun. You can see people bring their puppies in now. We have doggy auras. We have their pictures of them doing it. It's just adorable. It's fascinating.
But with the dog, it was the animal thing because I have two golden retrievers, and I was reading about that before I got you on, and how the energy of the animal and the tree, everything has an aura,
Sure.
but the dog energy, it
Be
like
different.
is different.
So if you have a puppy, like a new puppy, right? Sometimes they're going to have a lot of red around them because it's just physical energy, a lot of curiosity. But if you have a rescue dog, sometimes with quite a story of survivorship that has come into the owner's life to heal them, or maybe they have known this soul in a past life. Some people swear their dog is someone they've known before. We're going to see a whole spiritual aura. We'll see around the dogs that are healing their owners. We'll see a lot of the Saint Germain violet flame, a very healing energy emitting from the dog. Sometimes we'll see a lot of indigo if the dog is a survivor or rescue. And then I used to do this dog Ricochet, who works with PTSD veterans. He was a very famous dog on Discovery Channel. She passed, but Ricochet was very red and orange because this dog emitted a life force and a safety and a grounding energy for who he worked with in healing.
Wow.
So
Thank
the
you.
dog's its whole own energy and purpose of why they're here.
Right. Oh, I love that because I'm so in tune with my dogs, and
They're angels wrapped in fur. That's what I think they are.
they are. In fact, when we went to Bashar in Sedona, Bashar said that dogs are angels.
They are. I tell my son's little pit bull, I have grand dogs, and I say, you're just the sweetest angel wrapped in fur. He's
Right.
a gentle, loving soul.
Yeah.
So, and they save us, they're here to help us and guide us on this path. Everybody,
Right.
kitties are too.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time,
You're
Jamie.
so welcome, and thank you for having me, Ashley. And I'll see you next time you're in Sedona, I hope.
Oh, for sure.
Okay,
I want to come back for my aura checkups and see you. For
bring the
sure.
Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah,
For the
exactly.
talking about holistic health, bring the ginger.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right.